Hey everyone, John here with Preacher Perspectives. We're going to get into a subject that lots of people deal with, but very few actually talk about. Living with mental illness, such as depression, while at the same time embracing your spiritual gifts and abilities. When a person is living with mental health concerns while also tapping into their spiritual abilities, it can make it difficult for some people to understand what they are experiencing. See, we sense things that other people don't. Is that an indication of mental health issue, or is it an indication of a spiritual gift? And how do you know? Well, first, let's look at what mental illness and special abilities actually are. Think of mental illness as a health issue that can interfere with the way you think, feel, and act. It's like a complicated puzzle that impacts how you handle everyday life. It comes in many forms, and it can manifest in your life in many different ways that can cause complications for the way you relate to the world around you. In my case, it's depression and anxiety. So when I speak about mental illness, I'm speaking from my experience with my depression and anxiety. Only a mental health specialist can help you determine if you have a mental illness, and if so, what type and what your treatment options are. Mental illness is something that can either be a part of you at birth, or you can develop it throughout the course of your life based on things like emotional or mental trauma, or even physical injury. Mental health specialists believe that the causes of mental health disorders lie in the biology of the brain and the central nervous system. This would be a matter of physiological imbalances in those areas in the body. Now, special abilities or spiritual gifts are a whole different ballgame. These are special talents or abilities that you might feel are given to you from a spiritual source. We're talking about stuff like a super strong gut feeling or deep intuition, being able to really feel what others are feeling, or maybe even some psychic vibes like sensing other energies or spirits, or even having knowledge of the future. The list is extensive for the kinds of special or spiritual abilities people can have. Imagine spiritual gifts as unique abilities or talents that are part of who you are and that give you a usually higher sensory perception that allows you to perceive things that other people cannot perceive. It's not just about what you can do, but more about how you can positively influence others or connect with something beyond this everyday world. These gifts often align with personal and spiritual growth, enabling individuals to offer unique contributions to their communities or to the people around them. These gifts can vary widely. Some people might have a knack for empathy, like me, being able to deeply understand and connect with others' emotions. Others might have a strong intuition, where they can sense things that aren't obvious on the surface. Then, there are those with a gift for healing, whether that's through words, presence, hands-on practices. There are people who may have knowledge of future events that haven't happened yet. The cool part is that these gifts often resonate with one's personal journey and experiences. And as with my own experience, it's usually when a person is on a path of self-discovery and understanding, that they began to recognize and embrace their special abilities and talents. So in short, spiritual gifts are those special sparks within us that empower us to make positive impacts on the world and the people around us, often in ways that transcend the usual day-to-day interactions. They're deeply personal, often connected to our life experiences, and they help us connect with others on a deeper level. Throughout history, mental health issues and spiritual gifts have been mistaken for each other due to the past humanity not having a very accurate understanding of either one, and also having fear of what they did not understand. There may have been instances where a person's special abilities or gifts were viewed as mental derangement. And likewise, there have been experiences for people where their mental derangement was believed to be a gift from God or a special ability. When you add in the influences of religion, social norms, tradition, and politics, people will draw their own conclusions about what they are experiencing and witnessing. Many perceived both mental health issues and special abilities as signs of a form of demonic possession or evil, and they treated people horribly because of their ignorance and inability to understand what they were observing from another individual. This would happen because ignorance often leads to fear, and fear often leads to a conclusion that what's being observed or perceived is negative or evil. It's important to know that these two things, mental illness and special abilities, are not the same thing. So the question is, how do you know which is which? Really, how can you tell whether what you are experiencing is a spiritual gift or a symptom of mental health? Well, let's continue to explore this topic to see if we can figure out how to establish balance between our mental health concerns and embracing our spiritual gifts. Sure, if you're dealing with mental health challenges, you might find yourself getting more into your spiritual side, like I did due to depression and anxiety. This could be a way to understand what's going on or to find some peace and understanding within yourself. And that was my motivation, to find answers to my many questions about the way my depression would impact me, the way it would make me feel, as well as understanding myself and trying to obtain peace within. It was during this effort to understand myself that I was finally able to discover what my abilities were, okay, what I had been interacting with most of my life and didn't understand actually had a name. It has a title, and it's called an empath. And once I understood that and how it related to me, I was able to recognize the differences between symptoms of my depression versus the emotions that I was picking up from other people as an empath. But just because you're going through a mental health journey doesn't automatically mean that you will have special gifts and abilities. And it's the other way around as well. They can exist totally separate from each other. Or can mental health disorders be the other side of maybe unrecognized, underdeveloped, underused, and misunderstood spiritual gifts and abilities? Well, the answer to this question is dependent on the perspectives of those asking and answering, because everyone has their own interpretations of spirituality based on their cultural and religious upbringing. For me, my personal idea is that my depression and my ability as an empath are linked. When I wasn't consciously aware that I was an empath and what my spiritual abilities were, I wasn't using them. And my depression would have the most crippling grip on me. It felt like a void inside of me. However, as I began to heal and understand myself and my gifts, I noticed that my depression episodes became far less frequent, and when I did have them, they are far less intense. And when they do occur, the symptoms are far lighter than ever before. The thing about people knowing that you have a mental illness and you are saying that you have a special ability or a spiritual gift is that many folks get confused, and they think that if you're experiencing something that you think is spiritual or special in your abilities, it must be a matter of your mental illness, and they will not take your claim of having this special ability seriously. However, that's not always true. It can be very possible that your special abilities and spiritual gifts exist alongside a mental health concern. It is difficult to get people to believe that your gifts are real. It's all about understanding that these experiences, while they can sometimes cross paths, are distinct in their own ways. If you are managing your mental health condition well, with the assistance of professional help, and you are stable-minded, then my suggestion is to not concern yourself with whether or not people believe in your spiritual gifts. You don't need their approval to embrace yourself and believe in yourself and understand who you are and to understand and practice your gifts, because they belong to you and they will benefit the lives of people who are intended to benefit from them. You just have to put in the effort to understand yourself and your abilities. However, I must be very clear. Mental health disorders require professional medical and mental health management. Your special ability, along with medical attention, may assist you with coping with your mental health concerns better. However, I would not suggest solely relying on what you believe to be your spiritual gift or your spirituality as the only way of dealing with your mental health. That would be a mistake. You should always involve a medical doctor in your mental health treatment. So if you find your mental health journey leading you to explore your spirituality and special abilities, that's totally okay. Your own unique path. But remember, having a mental illness doesn't mean you suddenly have a spiritual gift, or vice versa. Just because a person has a spiritual gift does not mean they have a mental illness. Each person's experience is different, and that's what makes us all so interesting. Depending on the nature of your mental health concern, I would also suggest that if you're going to delve into your spirituality, that you seek out someone who is like-minded, open-minded, and stable in their mental health and spirituality as sort of a guide or mentor to help you recognize whether or not what you are experiencing is a matter of spiritual growth or mental health, because it can be very easy to mistake mental health symptoms as spiritual signs. Also, when I speak about spirituality, I am not talking about religion. Your spirituality is within you. It is who you are that gives your person a conscience. It is the vibrational energy and light that gives your body life. It is who you actually are inside of your body. It is not a book. It is not a building. It is not a belief structure. It is not a faith. It is not a practice. It is not an organization. Your spirit is none of those things. It is your soul, the essence of who you are. There is not another single person or entity on this planet that has any control over your spirit. Only you do, because your spirit is you. So, thank you for joining me on part 1 of our deep dive into these intertwining worlds of mental illness and spiritual gifts. We've explored the complexities, the challenges, and the beauty of this journey. If you found this discussion insightful and you're curious to explore more about the balances between mental health and spirituality, I encourage you to join this incredible community and make sure you check out the other 2 videos in this series. The links to them will be in the description because this conversation will continue. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. There are millions of us who live every day dealing with some manner of mental imbalance and discovering our spiritual selves and our spiritual gifts. Thank you for watching Preacher Perspectives. I hope this video brought you something helpful and useful. So please click like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you again soon. Thank you.